Okay, so let's do the doom and gloom stuff. So just to put
All
a little
right, just
background,
quickly,
yeah, you good.
I'm Liz Cross from Remote Viewing and Beyond. You can find me on Patreon, Remote Viewing and Beyond. And this is Craig, the guy with all the questions.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. So I put the links in the description down below for
Great.
the book with you if they want to go to your Patreon. So what I wanted to jump into was okay. What we discussed, a little background was there's a few different remote viewers and psychics that see on the horizon kind of doom and gloom scenarios, and I'm gonna butcher this. I'm just regurgitating it, but just for the sake of putting it out there, Penny Kelly is she's always seen that there's going to be some event or something to happen, something she got from maybe alien entities. In one of her books called I forgot the name of it, but the thing that she pushes out for everyone to move to certain areas, stay out of big cities, and start growing crops and start going back to the land and getting away from um, basically being self-reliant. And also, you've mentioned that you've
Mm-hmm.
gone up the timeline and you've seen a population decrease, a big population
Mm-hmm.
decrease. And you said that, and also Lynn Buchanan, you told me, also sees something similar to what Penny Kelly sees.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's another one, Elizabeth April. Actually, I don't remember her uh, making any predictions past 2024, so scratch that one out. Um, and Elizabeth April is an interesting one because she predicted 2020. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so and that one was a, that one was a pretty. It was like she worded it like from 2020 to 2024, there's going to be a mass ego death and everything's going to change. So
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes these predictions are not completely 100% like, oh well, the coronavirus is going to come on this such and such date, the market is going to crash, but you kind of get this vague depiction that ends up coming true. And so let's discuss what you see when it comes to the population decrease.
I definitely see a decrease in population. And my timeline, I moved up to like 2075. I probably won't be here then, but 2075, major decrease in population. And I do see us going back to agriculture. Very much so, but to take the advice of a psychic today, I think it's going to be a gradual shift. That's the problem with the doom and gloom. They say, "Well, stay out of the cities and go get some land." Okay, but this is going to be a very gradual change. But I do see a massive depopulation, and I don't see it through some major disaster. I see it just through a series of events. I'm not saying that the world's going to end or anything like that. No, it's just a gradual decline.
Could it be related to anything to do with the coronavirus or any
Well,
subsequent,
yeah,
like, could it be related to, the vaccine or anything like that?
it could be related to a number of things. It could be related to vaccines. It could be related to contaminated water. I get that very strongly. Not so much here, but in developing civilized, developing countries, I get it's a water issue as well. We have reached breaking point with the population. And people say, well, China created the virus. Well, okay, but the universe created the virus. And why did the universe create the virus? Because Mother Earth is trying to save herself. Okay. We can't keep going on at the rate that we're going. We're stripping all the resources. And if we keep growing in population, like we are, I psychically, I just can't see how we would survive without living like underground. And I just don't know how we would survive. The land would be totally stripped of nutrients. We'd have to come up with very creative ways. So I do see that we are going to shift into depopulation mode.
So just to sidetrack it, just to make it interesting, right now, Elon Musk is trying to make us a two planet species. Is there, now that we're going up to 2075, is there any success with that? Do we have any kind of progression with Mars?
No, no, there isn't, because it's impossible to survive there.
But without without rockets going to Mars constantly, right? So I guess
Right.
when I thought of a decrease in the population, you see also a decrease in the economy, and a
Yes.
decrease in. So I thought, well, they're not going to be spending money on rockets if we're all, having to grow our own bananas. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
So that was the first thing I thought. I was like, oh, it's kind of unfortunate that we lost that, space exploration, space progression. But what is a consequence of us going through that? Is it so humans become more spiritual, or what is it?
It's survival of the species. I mean, that's what I see, and the way it's survival of Mother Earth. If we listen, we're in this, you asked me the other day, is this the prison planet? Well, yeah, I can agree with that. Although I put it in a much more spiritual way, which is, we reincarnate, we come back down, we have to learn life lessons, we have to achieve certain goals, and then hopefully our soul will ascend into a higher realm when we cross over. And the goal is to get all the way to the top, right? Why? I don't know. That's something to definitely look into. But if we don't have a planet to come back to live out all of these, subsequent lifetimes, then the whole meaning of life becomes irrelevant. Unless what I do see is a lot of us will end up reincarnating as vegetation, insects, animals, things like that again.
So so people move down the ladder, so to speak, as a consequence of this depopulation. They kind of go down and come back as a caterpillar.
Yeah, I mean, but the caterpillar still has, major life lessons, just not on the, as many as we have. So as human beings, we get life lessons day in and day out, little life lessons and massive life lessons. Now, when we're doing the past life regression work, where we're clearing out those past life lessons so the soul can actually get rid of those blockages and move into a higher realm, you know, it's amazing what we uncovered. The life of a caterpillar who was, having a great life and was climbing on the branch of a tree, and a bird comes along and eats it. Well, that was very traumatic for that caterpillar, and that there were a lot of emotions surrounding that. Similarly, what is interesting when you're doing this past life regression work is going through the times. So we uncover lifetimes as cavemen where we were absolutely brutal to one another, and that created a lot of traumatic events. And what happens is these traumatic events are stored within the soul, and then each and every lifetime after that, you bring those events forward with you. So it all depends on your reaction to those traumatic events. So even today, you and me, we are still carrying, and everybody else are still carrying those traumas within our soul from even our very first lifetime, you know, which the very first lifetime that I've uncovered is, for a lot of people is, where we separate from source. So we're just like a ball of energy. And even that ball of energy has life lessons. So it's kind of, I know it's a difficult concept, but if we're coming down and we're using the earth to, as the prison planet, as what's his name put it, you said it to, yeah, yeah, and the big question I'm getting now is, how do you break that cycle? There's, it's interesting. That's an interesting question as well, because I have so many lifetimes where I've uncovered for people, doing this past life regression stuff, the CTT, consciousness transformation techniques. And, they leave the lifetime and they're like, I don't want to come back. But we end up getting suckered back into living, on the earth plane. So, we have to have somewhere to go. We're not going to other planets. There are some souls that I have come across that did have like intergalactic lifetimes, and their lifetimes actually belong somewhere else in the universe. But it's interesting because they actually don't have a body. I mean, they have a body here in this lifetime on the earth plane, of course they do, but their real soul family intergalactic lifetime is they're a ball of energy. And
You
that's
know,
kind of spilling over into what I was saying about the aliens. I mean, they project themselves. I mean, they have clear projections of what they look like, but are they in a physical body? I think that's their choice, whether they want to be in a physical body or if they're just like basically an energetic hologram.
well, check this out. So it's interesting you mentioned that. So with Penny Kelly,
Hmm.
with her visions that she sees, her story, her background, and I know you don't follow any of this, but is that she had extraterrestrial origins. Like, she's not really a human. She's comes
Hmm.
from a different planet, and she remembers all these things, or had remembers all these things when she had her kundalini awakened, something along those lines. That's her background, that's her story, because she'll go into detail about intricate detail about how her life was on a different planet as an alien, you
Hmm.
know. So, I, of course, I have more questions related to the kind of the narration of what's going to happen with humans and why there's a depopulation decrease, and if something going to happen with like a nuclear or some other virus or whatever. Um, but just for curiosity's sake, with Penny Kelly, do you see any kind of truth to what she sees in terms of her alien background for her past lives?
I'm looking into her now. Do you
You need a
believe
picture of her?
she firmly believes that? Now, that's her state of consciousness today. If let me go into look at the soul. Yeah, that's true.
That is true.
That's true. And like I said, I've done readings for people, and I'm like, okay, because what I do when I do a reading is I channel a loved one in spirit. Now, sometimes the person knows the loved one, or sometimes they don't. It could be a great grandparent or a family member that died that they never knew, but is always watching over them. But I've done readings where I'm like, okay, I'm connecting with the person and I'm seeing them in spirit.
Oh, you there? I think I lost you. Are you there?
Start it again and I'll. Ooh, we're having Zoom issues today. So yeah, it is true, and I have seen it in other people. So, for instance, when I'm doing readings because I do readings all the time, I normally channel a loved one in spirit, and we get the information for the person receiving the reading. But I have done readings where I'm like, okay, I see this like ball of energy, and it's related to like a galactic lifetime. And then the person is like, you know what, I've never felt like I belonged here on earth. And and it's true. Like, I tell them about their star family and their soul family, which is on another planet. It's just that they gain special permission to come down and experience, and that has to be granted by the spirit world, right? So they have to prove that they're worthy enough to come down here, on our side of things, on our experiences, because these intergalactic lifetimes are totally separate. But yeah, I've had readings where somebody has been like a, you know, space person. I say person, a space energy before. But then I believe that I connected with a lifetime for myself where I was a star in space, and that I didn't think that I had much importance. And lo and behold, back in the day, hundreds of years ago, maybe even thousands, people used me to as a direction point. And when I finally burned out as a star, the life lesson was that, wow, I actually was a significant being. But just, hanging around in space, like being a star, does it mean that I had an intergalactic lifetime? No, I've never felt like I belonged to my soul family was on another planet in somewhere in the universe. No. I just feel like I was privileged enough to have that experience and connect with it through that past life progression. But I have definitely come across people that have had, their main of their lifetimes was intergalactic. Uh-oh,
Super
he's
interesting.
thinking, he's thinking. Here you go. You're going to hit me with some good
Well,
questions now.
well, no, it actually goes back to the past life regression stuff that we've done before and what you do for other
Mhm.
people. And every time we've done it and did the tapping and released the energy, whatever issues that mirrored the story of the past life that I had experienced, into like it went away and I never experienced it again.
Yeah.
And and it's interesting, like when you do that, it's almost more effective than therapy because you can identify your problems, and maybe you've went through it, maybe not, but anyways, it's just a really good thing that you offer. But
Well, you
going,
can identify the problems, but I think the biggest thing is where I've dealt with people that have been in therapy for years. They're paying 150, $200 a week for an hour a week. I mean, and they're getting nowhere. And because it's not just about identifying the problem, because some people can't even identify the problem. It's about identifying the problem and understanding why that problem is here. I mean, there's things that have happened in my lifetime. I'm like, I know I never created that, but you know what? I did. And when you delve into doing the past life, the CTT work, what happens is you actually gain a 360-degree full understanding. And the only way you can remove these impossible life lessons, some of them are impossible, these impossible life lessons that you've had to experience lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. I mean, it gets old, right? And the only way you can do it is if you have that 360-degree level of understanding. I've lost you. Oh, we are having major Zoom difficulties today, unfortunately. So yeah, you can just contact me at remoteviewingandbeyond.com and we can go through and work through some of these issues. I mean, we work on addictions and we work on relationships and we work on, things like depression and anxiety and, lack of motivation. It's unlimited post-traumatic stress disorder, why you're stuck in a soul contract with somebody, no matter how hard you're trying to get out of it, and you just can't. So, by all means, contact me, and we'll work on your situation. I've lost Craig completely now. Anyway, yes, I do believe we're in a depopulation mode. And I think by 2079, the pendulum swinging back. And then, of course, then we'll start to repopulate again at some point, and we'll end up in the same mess that we're in now.